Aloha and mahalo for joining me. I'm Janet and welcome to the Called to Create podcast. I am here to help you ladies unlock your creative potential and use your God-given gifts and start a business. Because you were called to create and you have so much to share, and the world needs your creative gifts to be shared right now, ladies. Let's do this. And today is going to be like a really fun topic. I love this topic because I love seeing the possibilities in people. And I've always been able to recognize what people can do. And it kind of scares them, I think. But we need to have something to look forward to. And most of the time, we have to find something that gets us excited, that has what's deep in our heart show up, and something that you can work towards. And it's usually not outside circumstances that will be able to make you like so excited. Usually it's always what's inside your heart that's what's going to get you excited. And I know this because I've talked to so many women over the years, and it's amazing what I've learned just from talking to people and working with people. You really learn a lot. Okay, what I wanted to talk about today is the types of businesses you can have, ideas, and some of the things that you can do. And there's endless possibilities. So I just wanted to give several examples so that maybe you can get an idea of what you could do if you're interested. Or if you've heard anybody else talk about things that you can say, oh, Janet talks about this. So then you can share this podcast. Okay, so let's see. The quickest, now with what's going on today in the world, there's a lot of businesses that have brick and mortar locations that they've had to close down and all of that. So what I want to share today is some of the quickest businesses that you can start up right away that don't involve having a physical location, and things that you don't need money for. I'm going to talk about businesses that you can start right away that don't require money in the beginning at first. Now, of course, if you're going to have a business where you create something, yes, you are going to need money after, but you don't need money to start. And I can prove that to you, okay? Because I know a lot of people who have started businesses right away. Okay, so there's a couple of things that you can start off with. You can teach something. And I talk about this all the time because you all have a gift, skills, and talents, or a talent that you could teach. You could teach that, okay? For example, you could teach definitely online. That's probably the quickest and easiest and fastest way, especially because we have to keep our distance from people right now with what's happening in the world. So I would recommend doing something online, teaching online, so that as you do something online, if you eventually want to take it to teach in person, you're prepared and you have all the materials and the curriculum or the steps that you want to take somebody through. The more you teach it online to people, the easier it will become when we can actually meet with people in person or have group gatherings to teach. Okay, let's see. Let me give you an example. One of the examples is there's two people who I want to give you an example about teaching something online. In Hawaii, we have a small community of people who speak the Hawaiian language, and there's what we call Hawaiian immersion schools here too, that in the schools they only speak Hawaiian. So I have two people in mind that I know. One is my sister, and she just got her doctorate in Hawaiian studies and Hawaiian language and all of that. So she's fluent in Hawaiian. So if she ever wanted to, or she had the need, she could always teach the Hawaiian language. She could teach people how to speak the language. She could have her own business online. And then I know someone else named Kealani. She does something amazing. She actually speaks, well, her whole family, her husband and her children, at home, they all speak the Hawaiian language to each other. And she is keeping the Hawaiian culture alive in her family. And I think that's an amazing gift that she gives to her children. And if she wanted to, she could actually create a business teaching the Hawaiian language to people, to parents, to whoever would want to learn. And that is something I think is so amazing because the Hawaiian language is so unique and so beautiful if you've ever heard anybody speak it. I just love it. And I think that's the easiest way, right? Is to teach something. Now, another thing that you can teach is say, for example, you know how to play the guitar or the ukulele. You could teach that online. And yes, there are people who actually have a business teaching those two things. There is a person I've heard of who has a very successful membership where he has thousands of people in there that he teaches them how to play the guitar. And he is having great success with that. And it's all online. So anything is possible when you just allow yourself to think outside the box. Okay, those are just like some really small examples of what you can do because if you know how to do something really well, it's going to be really easy to teach it to somebody else. And I have another example of I have a friend named Laurie, and she is super amazing at being organized and organizing things and her home and everything she does is just very organized and it's just you look at it and you're just impressed. And so a few years ago, she taught me some of the steps that she does to being organized, how to think about it, what to do. And so if she ever needed to, she could create an online business teaching people how to be organized. And there are businesses out there, I've seen it, where people do teach how to be organized. Okay, so those are just a few examples of teaching. Okay, so the other example I want to give you to start a business right away that doesn't require any money at all whatsoever is to sell something. Okay, now you may think, okay, well, I have to have something that costs money to sell. But let me show you, or let me tell you, that I know a couple of people who have an eBay business. They take things that they have and they sell it online and they make money off of that. And there's many ways of selling things that you don't have to pay for. Okay, but that's one way. The other thing that I want to mention for selling something online is that if you are a crafter or you have something that you love doing, I can guarantee that you have things in your work area where you make your art or craft or whatever, or if you're a painter, I'm pretty sure you have paintings or drawings. You can always sell those things immediately online because you already have it. You can sell it. It doesn't cost you any money, right? You don't have to buy it to sell it. Okay, so you all probably have something laying around that you can sell. Like I personally have a lot. I have a lot of unfinished craft and sewing projects that I've started because I had this idea of what I wanted to make and then I just never finished it. And I know there's a lot of people out there, so if I wanted to, I could finish those projects and sell it and it wouldn't cost me anything because I've already paid for those items, right? The fabric and everything else, a while ago. So it's not costing me any money now. Okay, so those are a few examples of something that you can sell that is not going to cost you anything. Okay, and the third example I want to give you is about having a service. Okay, now service, that's kind of an interesting thing because when you have a service, it's always like an in-person thing. But think of a service like if you were to go and deliver things. You can start your own business to deliver products or Like, you know how they have FedEx drivers are delivery people. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you could do service where you're not interacting with people. Okay. And I want to give another example of my daughter. She has been working for MAC Cosmetics for about 10 years, and she absolutely loves doing makeup. That's just her thing. She wanted to do that since she was a little girl. That's all she used to talk about. And so she is so passionate about it that years ago she started doing makeup for brides and their bridesmaids. She would go on the weekends or whenever she wasn't working. And most brides, get married on the weekends. She used to go and do their makeup and do that as extra money because when a bill comes in, sometimes she may not have had the money. All she needed to do was go and do some service work on the side where she's doing makeup and things like that. Now, because you're doing a service business like that, it's so easy to get referrals. Once you do one person's makeup, or, I'm just using my daughter as an example, but once you do a one client, they will always, if they like what you did, right, they're going to refer you to other people. They're going to tell other people about you. And of course, when brides get married, they're going to show their wedding pictures to people, and they're going to get comments. And so that's another way where she's gotten referrals because people have referred her business. So it's just like this ripple effect that happens when you do service like that. And she absolutely loves that, and they pay her in cash or through PayPal. So you don't need money to do something that you're already good at or something that you already do as a job you can do on the side, right? It doesn't cost you anything extra. Now, of course, she would have to wear a mask now if she's going to do, because there are still brides getting married that have their makeup done. So she just did one about a month ago. So, of course, she has to wear a mask and all of that and make sure she washes everything and keeps everything clean. But that's just one example of a service type of business that you can have, that you can start immediately, that doesn't cost any money. Because my daughter already had a lot of makeup when she was working. Like, she has one of those big professional kits on wheels where you open it up and there's just hundreds of eyeshadows and foundation and everything you can think of. So she already had what she needed. She didn't need to spend any more money. She could just go and do people's makeup. So that's one example. And there are hundreds and hundreds of other examples of a service type business that you can create without money. Okay, so just remember that it doesn't cost money to start a business, and especially if you're in a situation right now where you need the money because you're out of work with what's happening, you can start something right away. And if you aren't sure, please contact me, send me a direct message. I would love to talk with you and help you get started, because you may have doubts or fears, and I'm here to help you with that. Because if you need to make money right now to support your family, it is possible. I've seen it. I've helped other people to recognize what they have, what gifts they have. Okay, and the last thing I want to share is that my secret sauce for success, I mean, it's not really a secret sauce. I just thought that would be cool to say. But my secret sauce to success is that what I've always done for more than 25 years, when I had my own business of teaching sewing, teaching people how to use their machines, teaching them, all that kind of stuff, and sewing for people, is that when I was teaching, no matter what it was, I would always teach like how I wanted to be taught, because everybody teaches differently and everybody learns differently. So I always taught where I would want someone to be teaching me, because I'm very kinesthetic. There's different kinds of learners. Like, I'm very kinesthetic where I have to be doing the thing. I have to be talking about it. I have to be hearing it, reading it, talking it out. So I've always taught from that angle where I'm going to teach it exactly how I want you to teach me something. And part of that secret sauce, besides teaching it like how I want to be taught, is that you have to teach it coming from a place of love, kindness, and respect, where you're teaching because you care more about them, your student or client. You care more about them learning and understanding the process and just doing what you're teaching, because they may not get it at first. It may take many attempts and many tries to be able to get what you're teaching or what the subject is about. So you always have to come from that place of kindness and patience and love and respect, because we're all different, and you have to care more about that than your own doubts or your impatience or anything like that. Anything that you have going on in you, you have to make sure you put that aside and come from that place of, just wanting them to learn and to just take the time, because sometimes it does take more time than you thought, right? So that is my secret sauce for success, where I come from that place every time I'm teaching. I never force my impatience. I mean, I don't have impatience when I'm teaching, but I don't ever force anyone or project any of my doubts or fears or anything on them, right? It's all about sharing my gifts with people. And I want you to remember that, because you have to have that type of attitude when you're teaching, because if not, people will always be turned off and they will either not come back to your class or come back to you as their teacher or whatever. Or even if you have a service-based business, if you're impatient with people or you don't talk nice, they're not going to refer you, and they're never going to come back to you as a repeat customer or client. Okay? I hope you take all this into consideration, and if you are interested in starting a business but you're not sure, or you've been thinking about it, I do have a business starter kit that will help you get started with all the things that you need to know and do to start your business. But like I said, if you need money right now, go and get started. It doesn't take any money to get started. Okay? Eventually you will need money, but if you make money at first, you can use that money to get you going. All right, so click on the link in the show notes to go and download this business starter kit. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And I would really love to know what kind of ideas you have, and share it with me. I would appreciate it, because everyone has gifts and talents and ideas. We all have dreams in our heart, and I want you to be able to share that. I want you to come alive and be aware of what's possible for you. And if you're not interested in having your own business, then maybe somebody else that you know who's been thinking about it or talking about having their own business or starting one. You just never know, right? There's always somebody out there who has ideas and things that they want to bring forth. So please share this podcast with anyone who you know would get great value out of listening to it. Or if you know anyone that wants to start a creative business, please send this podcast their way. I would really appreciate that. And I want to ask you a favor. If you can please take a minute to rate and review this podcast. And if you're listening to this podcast in the Apple Podcast app, you can rate and review this show right there at the bottom. So as soon as you open my show, you can just scroll down all the way to the bottom and you can rate and review it right there, because reviews are so important and they tell potential listeners and Apple that this show is worth listening to. And I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And have a great day, ladies. Take care of yourself. Aloha.